Alright, here we are, halfway through July. As last time we saw, we did the draft, progressed a month, and we're getting further into July, so I want to start taking the time to look at, some realistic trades we may make before the trade deadline. Before we get to that, we did pass through the All-Star game, and everyone gets an All-Star, so ours was Roenzi Contreras. Really not the all-star type season, of course, with a 1 WAR, 4.11 ERA, and 7-8 record. But someone had to get the honor of being on the all-star team, and Roenzi Contreras is going to be the one for us. Before we do jump in, let's just take a look at what happened in June. Since we at least got through that month, we started off 1-3, we finished 10-18. July right now, another poor start. Won't really even talk much about our stats as the bottom of the NL in most every major batting category. But as far as pitching, starting to get middle of the pack in some areas. And again, our defense and zone has remained high and continues to do so. I want to take a look at the standings because again, we got some interesting races. Got the AL East here. 3 teams are still in it. Yankees are starting to form a lead. The Guardians, Twins, and Tigers. The White Sox are actually worse than we are. Wow, they are 33-70. So they right now have the first pick in the upcoming amateur draft in 2025. In the AL West, still Oakland and Mariners. The Diamondbacks starting to make some ground back. Still 9 games back. Rangers are starting to walk away with the South. Phillies in the East, Brewers in the NL North, a little bit of a tight race between the Giants and Dodgers in the NL West, and the Braves. I don't think they have anything to worry about. Maybe the Astros, again with the realignment of divisions. Maybe the Astros can make a push late there for the NL South, but we pretty much surprised we don't see an X by our name yet being eliminated. So, what are we going to do? We're going to take a look at some trades, and I've kind of been playing around. I got a couple of pending here, and I do want to come here and just show that I'm not trying to cheat anything. I am really making this difficult as far as trades go. Now, I'm not to the level of, I believe it's Foolish Bailey and having to send a trade. I do like to discuss. I figure, hey, I'm on the phone with the guy. Let's talk about some people, and they bring up, well, I really like so-and-so. So that's how I'm going to play this. So you may hate it. I apologize for that. But anyway, this was interesting. As if we come back and take a look at our performers. Down here you see who's not hot is Will Banfield. Remember him, first game we actually watched, ended up with the RBI single and a 2-run bomb. I thought we may have something. Well, we really don't. He's batting 179. He is struggling mightily. Even as his fielding, so he's actually come along since that terrible blunder from the first video. He has a pretty good frame rate. He's actually positive zone rating, so he's still doing pretty well behind the plate. But I mean, that batting average is just not going to cut it, so we need to try to make upgrade. And actually, for whatever reason, the Blue Jays have both of these players, Danny Jansen and Austin Meadows, on the trade block. So I'm looking to pull this trade off. I mean, Jansen, he's still 29, so he's got a couple of good years left. Now, again, the issue with all these players, they're going to be free agents that we're going to have to we're going to have to re-sign them. I mean, we're making a trade for nothing if we don't. So that's going to be a little bit of a gamble, trading away some prospects for players who all are going to be free agents in 2024. You got Austin Meadows. He's also on the trade block. He has high work ethic and just, above average, I would consider defensively, and a pretty average bat. But not having the best year, negative WAR down there. So I'm thinking about this one. I still have some work to do on this one because Jack Flaherty and Carson Kelly also are on the trade block. We're not quite there. But, Flaherty, he's only 28. Main reason I'm trying to go after him, I'm worried about what type of salary he may want because he is pitching okay with a 2.1 WAR. And so we may be spending a little money to be able to retain him for maybe, say, 3 years when we get there in the off season. Because we have to sign him. It's either we're just taking on some salary for half a year when we're in a lost year. So we're basically trading for these people, betting on their future or betting on them to bridge the gap for our farm system to develop and make their way to the majors. And then Carson Kelly, just trying to get a backup catcher, wanting some minor league prospect. Like I said, got a little work to do there. It's pretty close. And then this last one, it's close as well. Jonathan Lasagna, that's how I'm going to say it because it's Johnny Lasagna is his nickname. He will be a free agent next year. I think he profiles much better as a reliever. I can't believe Washington's throwing him out as a starter, maybe as an opener or something and getting a few innings. But with only being 29, that could be someone that could start being an anchor in the middle of our bullpen. And Victor Robles, used to be a high-profile prospect, hasn't really panned out, but he's still 27. He's got some elite defensive or elite-esque defensive capabilities and some good speed. I figure if they'll throw him in, I may take a shot on him. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now at the trade deadline. I'm probably going to push these through. I'm to that point. I need a catcher that actually does something. I'd love to get a backup and then get another outfielder and get some arms. And maybe Robles, he can spend some time in AAA for us. And maybe be an impact player next year. I don't know. So that's what I'm looking at. We'll see what happens and catch you up here in a little bit. All right, we're at the end of the season. Told you we'll play catch up and see just some of the moves that we made to hopefully better our roster for next year. But as you can see, abysmal record, 56-106, and just not many thoroughbred players, of course. You've seen the roster, you've seen how they performed, and the stat sheet, at least on the batting side, doesn't show that. We remember, I guess halfway through, a few months in, Greg Allen had a pretty good WAR. He cooled off heavily, but Luis Urias, he started picking it up as of late and led our team in WAR and batting with just a measly 2.5. Nobody really mentioned with batting average. Of course, Luke and Baker, 35 bombs, but you can see right there a 201 batting average. So if he doesn't hit a homer, he's probably going back to the dugout. Yeah, no one even batted in 100 runners this year, so that's pretty rough. Greg Allen did at least lead us in steals with 43. On the pitching side, it started coming along. You can see Roansy Contreras. He did finish under a sub-4 ERA, so maybe that's going to bode well for his future. Only 24, so got plenty of years left to really start figuring it out. Did lead our team in wins as well, but still had 13 losses because we had 106 of those to give around. So led our team in strikeouts, innings pitched, and WAR with a 1.9. So we will see how Rowency continues to fare. Good first season here for him in Mississippi. And then saves kind of spread out because I wanted to give a shout out in the first video. Grant, real 1966, made a call out about Foolish Bailey using the stopper role. And so we'll look at the roster here in a minute. That's exactly what I did. So a little bit of not a locked in closer, since they have options or opportunities to enter a game when it's not really traditionally that closing opportunity. And of course, the mentality behind that is you can get more innings pitched by some of your top tier back of the bullpen type guys. All right, so let's come over and just look at what we did as far as transaction history, especially the trade deadline. So we mentioned, you saw we did end up getting Danny Jansen and Austin Meadows from the Blue Jays. Gave away a couple of middling, just not very high projection type guys. So gladly give those away. Went ahead and signed Jansen to a contract extension through his 33rd year. It seemed like a decent price for a starting catcher. So we went there. And of course, we got Austin Meadows, and also, as you can see right there, gave him an extension. He's only making $740,000 on his current contract, and he signed a 2-year deal, 3.6 for each one of those years. Thought it would be pretty decent just for some leadership here in the dugout for the Mockingbirds. Other trade we did was Jack Flaherty and Carson Kelly. Mentioned that one. We gave up 1.5-star catcher, a half-star second baseman, and a 1.5-star right fielder. So not much given up there. And hadn't worked on an extension yet. I wish I would have whenever I looked earlier in the year because it was a lot cheaper at that point. So we'll have to do some work to keep Flaherty on the roster for the 25 season. And then Carson Kelly just wanted a backup. Then we got Jonathan Lasagna, like we talked about, and Victor Robles. Went ahead, like I said, and extended Lasagna for pretty much the same amount he's making this year, $2.5 million. Young, 29. So I'm really starting to like how our bullpens come together with the addition of Lasagna and some others up here. Made another trade, got Soroka. I guess just as a Braves fan, I hate how his career kind of crashed, and so maybe he can prove something here in Mississippi and contribute next year. But he spent his time in AAA. And then went and got Brooks Baldwin. He was 24, younger guy, kind of a middle of the road as far as batting ratings go, can play all over. Just wanted to see how he would develop, and currently looks like he's in AAA. Had to sign Slade Wilkes, the Bunker Hill Bomber, family member who went here to Southern Miss, and hopefully he can do something. I know he's not got the best potential in this game, but just cool to have your family member on your team. Another trade we made really was just trying to get rid of Dylan Bundy, and I didn't even notice this. Looks like he tore his UCL going over to Detroit. So bad luck for the Tigers in this trade. Gave away a first baseman, 2-star potential, 1.5-star shortstop. This was the one that kind of hurt to get the deal done. A 2.5-star left fielder that's only 26. And Meadows is kind of the same potential, but he's at least reached it here with his overall matching that, and 2 years younger. And then this was the other one that hurt. It took a lot to get Meadows for some reason. Diane Frias, he was from the expansion draft, 2.5 stars, and we'll see how he progresses there with Detroit now. I was really liking the defensive range and ratings for Meadows. Really can play anywhere in the outfield, has great speed. We'll see how he ends up playing. Didn't steal a lot of bases. Maybe they don't have him aggressive on the base paths. But then again, he hit just north of the Mendoza line, 2 of 5, so didn't get on base too much. This trade was offered to me, just a first base prospect for Trevor Rosenthal, who was a free agent that the computer signed, and some 2-star second baseman. And again, mentioned our extensions. Made one more trade right at the buzzer. Had like 5 seconds left and just pushed it through. I traded away Allard, one of our starting pitchers that we got in the expansion draft, and picked up Kenyon Middleton. 2 elite pitches, has a high rating and stuff. Struggles a little bit in control, but seems like a stopper type guy. He is 31. He does have a team option next year, so we do at least get him for next year should we choose to exercise that, and I think we will. And then just one more was just a claim on waivers. Jordan Leisure, 2 elite pitches, almost a third right here with this curveball. Some good stuff, control being the issue, but again, one of those type high leverage guys that if they can just shove and push it through, you should get some outs. And actually did pretty well with this under 1 whip, which that's the worry, is the walks with that 45 rated control, and 1.04 ERA. Only went 8.2 innings, but that's just because I called him up when the roster expanded here in September. So I like his future. So that's kind of how the roster ended up. We'll take a look at the standings. You can see here we always talked about the close AL East division race. You did have the Orioles come away with it, but the Red Sox and Yankees both get a wild card spot. The Guardians end up getting the North Division with the Twins trailing behind. Mariners get the AL West. In the AL South, you got the Rangers winning the division, the Tampa Bay getting a wild card spot. Flipping over to the NL side, in the East, the Phillies win. The Mets were close behind, but really not too strong of a team here in this division, with only one being over 500 win percentage. In the North, the Brewers won and then had two wildcard teams of the Cardinals and Cubs. Pretty strong division there in the NL North. In the West, same story. The Giants walk away with the division, and the Dodgers and Padres. The Padres at 500 get a wild card spot. And then, looks like the third best record in the league, the Braves, who will be pretty much our rival moving forward, trying to win this division, gets the South. Astros don't make it as they finish under 500. And all the way us in the back with the same record as the Black Barons. 56 and 106. White Sox ended up finishing one game better. And I don't know if it's run differential. What's the tiebreaker for that first pick? Black Barons a little bit worse with the negative 228. Let's see, what does the rookie show? Yep, so right now we do have the first pick overall. So whatever tiebreaker between us and the Black Barons, maybe it's head-to-head. Maybe we fared worse off when we did face them. So that's some good news. We do get the first pick of next year's draft, and that'll be big. That'll be big for us to get hopefully the proverbial, the overall consensus best player. Let's look at one more thing, just our team stats. August was our best month. Almost finished 500, 5 games short of that. We are pretty much dead last in the National League in every batting category. Stolen bases, we were a little bit better then, but still back half of the NL. And then pitching, again, mentioned the bullpen. I really like how it's coming along, 5th in the NL with a 3.88. And so I think that could be a strong point for us moving forward. We did end up kind of halfway middle of the pack with some of these other pitching statistics. And you can say we were a little bit above average as far as defensive ratings go. So we knew it was a long shot. I had no, hope that we would make the playoffs, and that is exactly the case. So let's take a look at the playoffs here. So we are going to have a much different playoff look with, all this changes to the division. So the Diamondbacks, Orioles, Red Sox, Mariners, Yankees, Guardians, Tampa Bay, Texas. You already see who all is here, and it looks like AL's already played one game. So let's go ahead and see if we can get to the next playoff round. Best of 7 throughout. That's very interesting. Okay, that's fine. To the next round. Keep moving forward. I don't care about these players retiring. All right, so it looks like the Orioles are going to take it from the Diamondbacks, and they had the best record in the MLB, so no surprise there. 7 games here between the Mariners and Red Sox. Mariners end up taking it. The Yankees over the Guardians, and the Rangers over the Rays. Brewers in 6 over the Padres. Cardinals in 6 over the Phillies. The Giants sweeping the Cubs in 4 games, and the Braves taking care of business with the Dodgers in 5. Let's move on, see who makes it to round 3. I need to change this. It's called round 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's pretty lame. Batter war. Acuna over there with an 8.6. Soto in the AL with 8.2. Great seasons from both of those guys. All right, Orioles continue on. Again, the best record. So it's going to be an AL East showdown. Orioles and Yankees in the championship. Braves end up going 7 with the Giants, and the Brewers go 7 over the Cardinals. And so this is going to be the championship matchups here. Orioles go up. They're going to sweep it. Nope, goes 5. So it's going to be Orioles and Braves. So best record in NL, best record in AL facing off here. Let's see who will walk away as the 2024 World Series championship. Orioles go up 2-3. It's going to be a sweep, clean sweep. Baltimore Orioles are going to win it here in the 2024 season as the Braves end up coming short. not even getting a win there in the World Series, and that's got to sting. All right, season's over. Your score this year is 1. Like, I don't think I've ever had a 1 in this game. Yeah, we know it's a terrible score. So, again, find a top 20 prospect was one of our goals from Humberto. We see here that the first rounder we drafted, 44th. I've never understood, though, maybe someone can explain to me in the comments why you have a different ranking here versus the OSA team ranking prospects over here. It says he's the 20th. I'm not sure. I guess Humberto uses a completely different rankings for his qualification of a top prospect. Our minor league system, I'm happy with the 21st rated system, after 1 year. Definitely, because we were back at the very end when it comes to being an expansion team, so some good progress there. We also see some new goals here, one of them being play 500 ball. Don't know if that's going to be possible for us, Humberto. But, so that is going to do it. We are in the off season. One of the fun parts of this game, see how we can start acquiring new talent. Maybe through the Rule 5 draft. Of course, we'll look at free agents and start building our team and our lineups and our roster for the 2025 season. Before we do jump off of this video, did just want to take a look more granular statistics for the team. So you can see the pitching efforts here. Jack Flaherty, who we traded for at the deadline, ended up with a 2.9 WAR overall. As far as his split for us, only 0.7. As I started struggling mightily through the end there, almost a 6 ERA. So hope we can turn that around, because he was 3.35 when he was with Detroit before we traded for him. But still the similar BABIP here. So really the only other thing is his walks per 9 innings kind of increased when he came over and started pitching for us. But still the leader in WAR overall. Roensi Contreras was the leader in WAR just for us through the whole season, over 33 games. 3.75 ERA, had a 2.81 BABIP. So I do like what I see from the young righty, the 24-year-old. Mentioned the trade at the buzzer for Kenyon Middleton. 0.8 WAR with St. Louis. Similar with here, 0.6 WAR for us. So I do like that combined, a 1.4 WAR for some of our back inning type relievers. Had a better ERA with us, so we're probably going to exercise that team option on him here in the off season. Victor Gonzalez was an expansion draft pick and ended up being pretty serviceable there. He ended up switching from the bullpen to the rotation, so appeared in 42 games for us, but ERA north of 5. Not the best BABIP either. Jonathan Lasagna came over, didn't do much for us right there, barely above 0 on the wins above replacement, but I still like our bullpen, because you see Abner Uribe here, one of the stopper roles that we have set up, had a 2.21 ERA over 77 innings pitched, struck out 109 in those, so averaging 12.7 strikeouts a game. James Karinchak, also back there in the stopper role, 15.6 strikeouts a game with a 1 WAR, and not a lot of balls hit and play or doing anything, a 240 BABIP. And so 2.17 ERA. Funderburk, again, 3.18. You can see Martin with a 2.77. So really enjoying how this bullpen's coming together. And then that waiver claim, Jordan Leisure, 2.35 ERA on the season, but starters need some help. Huskar, he was struggling a lot during the season and started kind of getting it together when we take a look at, I guess by month, you can see March, April, May, the bloated ERA, and in July and August started figuring it out. Didn't have a great September over just a few innings, but maybe we'll see more of this July-August type performance from Huskar, and he can keep down this starter role. It's going to be a long shot, though. And Liberatore, we mentioned him. Then the expansion draft acquired him, only 24, but a 4.53 ERA just ain't going to cut it. Babbitt's okay with the 267. Looking like we need to get his walks down 4.5 over 9 innings. So that's the pitching side. As far as our batters, we will not spend much time here as we only had Urias over 2 with the WAR 2.5 there. You can see Jansen for us. We traded for him. And from his splits, Toronto and Mississippi, much better in Toronto. Batting average slipped down to 214. He almost struck out as many times as he did in 40 less plate appearances or at bats. So we hope that he would be kind of that catcher to bridge the gap for the future superstar one day. I think at least those numbers are serviceable enough to get us to that point, but a little disappointing seeing that stat line from him. Greg Allen, again, really cooled off, dropped down to a 227 batting average after being our leader in WAR around July. Oswaldo was pretty cold, again, looking on these batting averages. Team really struggling. We caught up Jose Tina. He was an expansion draft pick later on that was in our farm system. He started playing really well in AAA. Wanted to bring him up because our other second baseman at the time was struggling really well, and Tina unfortunately struggled himself when he finally got up here to the majors. And again, mentioned just home runs aren't the only stat that matters. Lucan Baker leading us with 35, negative 1.4 WAR. And then Austin Meadows, man, we were hoping he could come over and be that leadership role, about to be in his 30th year here, but continued some of his disappointing stats that we saw in Toronto, probably the reason why they wanted to trade him. So in saying all that, got a lot of decisions to make on the offensive side of the lineup. Really have to start dialing this in and figuring out how we're going to take it, because you saw over here our owner wants us to play 500 ball next year. So it's going to be a stretch, but we will see if we can do that in the next episode. We will start grinding through the off season, seeing who we can trade for, who we can potentially sign as free agents, and we'll take a look at that Rule 5 draft as we prepare for the 2025 season. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next video.